lot of you have been asking for this video for a long time, and it's finally here. Tonight we are going to be looking at the entirety of the digital members-only Pokemon cards that I created during Season 1 of the channel. Season 1 has recently ended, and so concludes the 25 card set, including 3 secret rares. If you have been following the channel for very long, you have most likely noticed that I have been posting customized digital Pokemon cards in honor of various members who support the channel with a paid membership. These cards honor members of all tiers, no matter what tier you select. If you let me know what your favorite Pokemon is, I add it to the list along with your username, and I select one user at a time at random. And unless I've already selected a member, and then I try to make sure I pick someone who hasn't had a card made yet. But I try to make at least one card every week, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Today we are going to go through each of the cards, and most importantly, these cards are just the digital versions, and I will show the card on screen, but I am going to create one physical card of one of these Pokemon cards that I show here today, and I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which card that is. So please vote your favorite of the 28 cards that will be shown in this video, and whichever card gets the most votes, I will make a real proxy holofoil card, similar to the proxy cards that I have showcased several times on the channel. It's just a small hobby of mine that I really enjoy doing. So don't forget to vote on your favorite card, and I will make it into a physical form, and I will record the entire process for a nice, unintentional, if not slightly intentional, ASMR video. Let's go ahead and take a look. At number 1 of 25 was the original card that I showcased in order to kickstart this members appreciation idea that I had. This was of course, my card with my favorite Pokemon, Porygon, R&R's Porygon. I wanted to design the card to make it look like it was simply chilling out inside the R&R casino, where you can see some slot machines and various casino-style games in the background. I was thinking of the cool Porygon Black Star promo card that I use in the TCG Casino videos for inspiration on this card, along with the Rockets Porygon, which is featured inside a box of sort. I always really liked the simplicity of the Porygon cards, and that's kind of what I was going for with this particular card. With this set, I tried to style them in the Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge sets, or I tried to style them after those cards and make them kind of playable in that set in a sense. Of course, they're not perfect, and I took a lot of liberty with the attacks and things like that, but I tried to make them pretty realistic as possible. So, R&R's Porygon was card number 1. one of the first comments that I received from a member was Jonathan, and of course I'm just using the names from your channel that I visit, and then I just take the name listed there. But Jonathan's favorite Pokemon was a Ditto, so I really enjoyed making this card. What I was going for in terms of feel was I wanted to kind of make a card, a Ditto card that looked like the Ditto was peeking behind, or peeking out behind a pillar in the Pokemon Mansion. Maybe left over from a failed experiment, or perhaps just looking around, as it can sense that this is a place where DNA is held and explored. So, of course, I had to use the transform ability, and this was number 2 of 25, Jonathan's Ditto. Number 3 of 25 was Mitch's Lugia. This card, of course, for the powerful and mystic Lugia. I wanted to make it look as though it has burst forth from the ocean and propelled itself into the sky and is now enjoying a brief basking in the sun above perhaps a sunny but still chaotic ocean. I thought that this card turned out really well in terms of just color. It was nice and bright, and there's something really nice about the colorless energy. Holofoils, I don't know. The white card background just always looks really good with whatever color is used for the artwork on the card. This card was one of my favorites, and I hope that Mitch enjoyed it, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. Card number 4 was Constantine's Haxorus. This was the first Dragon-type card that I created, and I decided to go with the traditional colorless Dragon-type card that was present for much of the early years of the TCG. This was also the first Stage 2 card that I created, which, of course, is a bit trickier because there's just more to customize on the card in terms of words and an extra Pokemon in the Stage 2 box. But I thought that this Haxorus turned out really well. I, once again, like how the colorless energy cards work and look with the artwork of the card. For this Haxorus, I wanted to make it look as though it's walking through a beautiful yet rugged mountainside, showing its intimidating look and no doubt looking for food or wanting to defend its territory. I thought this was a really fun card to make, and I was really pleased with it. Card number 5 is Kesvir's Houndoom. This was a Patreon supporter, and of course with Houndoom I had to go with the dark aesthetic and the graveyard in the background. I was imagining Houndoom passing by the graveyard late at night on a late night hunt. When it stopped for just a brief moment in order to gaze at a full moon, which is casting lunar light down onto the graveyard below. Perhaps it stops for a brief howl to communicate with the pack. These were the things that I was imagining when creating this card. And I've always loved Houndoom and any of the early Dark cards. Of course, Dark did not exist in the original Gym Hero and Gym Challenge sets, so hence the liberty that I said that I took when creating some of these, but it's just for fun after all. So, Kesvir's Houndoom, number 5. Card number 6 was the beautiful Ultra's Eevee. This card, I wanted to go for a look that almost made it appear as though Eevee was the Pokemon of a shopkeeper in a quaint and beautiful rustic town. I pictured this Eevee sitting outside a shop door, greeting visitors as they pass by on the cobblestone streets. And it's just happy to be there and, of course, enjoys the attention. That's kind of the vibe I was going for. Ultra, when describing this Eevee, wanted me to give it the lion-hearted Pokemon power. And, of course, that's always appreciated if you have something specific that you would like to have put on the card, as long as it's realistic and kind of goes with the style, then I'm more than happy to oblige. So feel free to throw out some customization options, and I'll do my absolute best to make them a reality. So, Ultra's Eevee, number 6. Number 7, we have Beast's Rayquaza. This was the only card that I went with the Dragon type card. Of course, this typing did not exist at the time, similar to the Dark typing, but since I had already done the colorless energy card for Haxorus, I wanted to give this Rayquaza a bit of a different look. Of course, the background is a dark and violently stormy night. I pictured Rayquaza here, and of course that's how I pronounce it. I'm not sure if it's Rayquaza or either way. That's just how I've always said it, so my apologies if it's incorrect. But I pictured this Rayquaza soaring through a stormy sky, relishing in the power and chaos that follows it. Rayquaza was always such a cool Pokemon, and the storyline with how it related to Groudon and Kyogre was always very fascinating. I thought this card really did a good job displaying the power and mythical nature of the Pokemon. So, number 7, Beast Rayquaza. And on a completely different note, we have Sammy's Squirtle. This is a much more cute Pokemon, and thus I wanted to have a bright and cheerful look to the card. This card was greatly inspired by the original Squirtle card, in which it was in midst of a calm and tropical looking river. I always loved that card, and it's one of the earliest cards that I ever remember seeing. And this card, I wanted to have a similar vibe. I pictured Squirtle deep in a forest, near a nice lake or river, and it's just sitting amongst the reeds, enjoying the sunlight, and doesn't have a care in the world. I always loved Squirtle, and it's one of my favorite Pokemon. So, number 8, Sammy Squirtle. And at number 7 we have Unnamed Slope. Scizor was such a cool Pokemon when it first was released, and it really stands out in the first and second generation of Pokemon. I pictured this Scizor training on the side of a lush mountainside. Perhaps it is gearing up for a territorial battle, or maybe it's showing its claws in order to scare off a would-be predator or intruder on its turf. Either way, I thought it looked very cool with this color scheme in the background, and of course I had a lot of fun creating the Pokemon Power Swarm for this one. So, at number 10, Val's Scizor. Next, we have a Dark-type card, Cat's Absol. Absol is always a mysterious Pokemon within the Pokemon universe. It's a bit of a bad omen, but often misunderstood. Of course, you can see that play out in the attack Dark Omen, but it's not usually as bad as it seems, and I thought the soft expression on its face, coupled with the looming full moon in the background, made it almost look as though it's peering down on a village or quiet city at night, wishing that someone would give it a chance, or perhaps feeling a bit lonely. But I thought also that the Dark Omen attack was a fun inclusion, since it does 20 more damage if the opponent has 2 prize cards or fewer, meaning that as you are nearing defeat, this attack becomes even more brutal, which I thought was fitting for the Pokemon. So at number 11, Cat's Absol. Next we have Zana's Coughing. Just a simple Pokemon design, fitting to coughing. I wanted it to look like it was floating amidst a dense and smoggy landfill or dump, and seeing its facial expression lets you know that it couldn't be happier. I've always really liked coughing, and I liked this card quite a bit. Number 12, Zana's Coughing. We have at number 13, Cloudian's A-Bomb. A-Bomb, a fun and playful Pokemon, seen frolicking through a dense forest, happy and cheerful, with many trees to climb in the background. The attack Acro Ape states that if you have any Pokemon on your bench, choose one of them and switch it with Cloudian's A-Bomb, allowing it to utilize its low HP and to survive due to its ability to escape. Number 13, Cloudian's A-Bomb. Next we have one of my most loyal and long-time supporters, Jakeion's Reshiram. This member was one of the earliest members to the channel, and I very much appreciate the support. Jakeion's Reshiram is a powerful and regal card, or regal Pokemon. I imagined that due to its size and nature that it chooses remote and rugged areas to test out its jet propulsion and spread its wings without fear of endangering those around it or upsetting the balance of the ecosystem. The remote canyon in the background I thought spoke to that. Of course, the Pokemon Power Flame Wheel allows you to Celebi. This was requested at the time, and later I decided to save the shinies for the secret rares, but Spectralite's Celebi was one of a kind in that nature that it was shiny as a regular card in the set, which was perfectly fine. So this, you can see Celebi is floating above a serene pool of water, full of lily pads and life, no doubt, thanks to the nearby Celebi, who likely lives nearby in a grotto and provides life and a lush nature to the area around it. Just a beautiful Pokemon and a beautiful scene. Number 15, Spectralite's Celebi. We then had Rodrigo's Meryl. Rodrigo is a frequent commenter, and I always enjoy seeing the comments. Rodrigo's Meryl, once again, is a basic Pokemon, but doesn't mean that it isn't as rare and valued in this set. Meryl is one of my favorite Johto Pokemon, and I imagined it in this card, bouncing using its buoyant and round body bouncing off the surface of the water, just having fun in a warm summer afternoon, and getting a bit of thrill and sunlight as it plays in its natural habitat. Number 16, Rodrigo's Meryl. Next we had number 17, Matrix's Lucario. Lucario is such a cool Pokemon, being a subtle steel type, and so I had to make it a metal type card. I wanted to make it look like it was in a training dojo, sharpening its skills and preparing for that close combat attack, which ignores any resistance. Number 17, Matrix's Lucario. At number 18, we had Emperor's Staraptor. This powerful and intimidating Pokemon is pictured perched high above a lush valley. You can see clouds and a mountain in the background. It's no doubt looking for its prey and daring any other bird Pokemon to challenge it for its territorial command. Number 18, Emperor's Staraptor. We then have our second Lucario. Lucario is a very popular Pokemon after all. We have Nicholas's Lucario, once again, a Patreon supporter. This Lucario, a fighting type card this time around, is pictured training under a waterfall. I had thoughts of old Dragon Ball Z episodes where Tien was training at the base of a waterfall, letting the water rush down on him to build his strength. I wanted that kind of vibe with this card, and I thought it turned out pretty cool. Of course, the Aura Sphere that Lucario is known to use is featured here as well. Number 19, Nicholas's Lucario. Next we have Dazio's Sableye. In a crystalline cavern deep underground, secret, dark, and damp. Perfect for a sneaky Sableye. I thought the color of the background went well with Sableye's eyes, and the dark type card really made those colors pop. I thought this card just looked really nice. Number 20, Lamona's Zoro, or I'm sorry, Zorua. That name is always extremely difficult for me to just casually say. I always have to think about it, but we have a nice, mischievous Zorua walking down a dark but faintly lit city street. You have a park in the background, which I thought reminded me of Central Park in New York, and perhaps this is a stray Pokemon who causes mischief at night and really enjoys doing so. Number 21, Lamona's Zorua. That brings us to Jasmine's Infernape. This was a fun card because I almost wanted to make it look as though it would be one of those old Rocket cards where it's a bit, I don't want to say evil, but it's a bit dark. It almost looks as though it's responsible for the blazing forest in the background, either by accident and its training or battle has engulfed the forest in flames, or maybe Infernape knew exactly what it was doing. Either way, it turned out looking pretty cool, in my opinion. Jasmine's Infernape, number 22. We then have Gecko's Jolteon. This was one of my favorites, just in terms of colors and just how it turned out. Jolteon looking up with a nice smirk and pleased smile on its face at a lightning-filled sky, no doubt drawing electrical energy from the storm and relishing in the electricity flowing around it. I thought the mixture of blues and purples with Jolteon and the electric-filled background just really contrasted well with the colors of the Pokemon, and like I said, was one of my favorites. Number 23, Gecko's Jolteon. We then follow it up with our second electric type Pokemon in a row. I think it's Ryo or Ro. I'm not sure, but I'm going to say Ryo. Ryo is Manectric. Number 24. This Pokemon cannot be paralyzed due to Lightning Rod and has Wild Charge, which is once again not affected by resistance. Similar to Jolteon, I thought that the dark but lightning engulfed field just looked really cool with this electric type Pokemon. This time though, Manectric looks almost a bit concerned, if not determined, to make sure that it races back home to tend to its den, or perhaps its trainer that it's worried about in the storm. Number 24, Ryo's Manectric. And that brings us to the last card in the last regular card in the set, Laura's Gliscor. This was one of my favorites, just based on how it looked. I love the look of the full moon in the background, almost as though you are walking at night and hear a noise, only to look up and see a Gliscor pouncing down on you. I just thought it looked really cool with the bat-typed card, or bat-typed Pokemon. And of course, after I came out with the Gliscor Man video, this card was even better. So, number 25, Laura's Gliscor. And that brings us to our first secret rare. I try to, and I'm going to try to moving forward, to save the secret rares for either long-time members. At this point, I have several members who have been supporting the channel for over a year, and or high-tiered members who are generous with their support. So, the first was Ursul's Salamence. This full art, shiny, secret rare with the holofoil border shows a Salamence, no doubt emerging from its slumber in a cave high, high on the jagged mountainsides, emerging to roar into the sun and strike fear into those around it. Number 26, Ursul's Salamence. Number 27, a Patreon supporter, Matthew's Umbreon. This Umbreon is strolling through a moonlit valley, the vegetation almost resonating to its circular patterns glowing faintly blue in the moonlight. Umbreon is such a cool Pokemon, and the shiny is just S tier if you ask me. Number 27, Matthew's Umbreon. And last but not least, number 28 out of 25, Ty's Aggron, also a Patreon supporter. This Aggron, deep underground in a cavernous area, is just enjoying a day and a stroll through the subterranean world, unknowing of the events on the surface and uncaring, yet extremely powerful, hidden from would-be trainers or other Pokemon. It thrives. Number 28, Ty's Aggron. And that concludes the Season 1 set. Now that we have concluded this video, I will begin on the second set. It will be designated by an updated set symbol. We had the 3 Z's in this set, so I will have a new symbol for set 2. And once again, we will do 25 traditional cards and 3 secret rares over the next handful of months. So if you would like to have a card made, you can choose any of the membership tier options